Success Mantra is a program which features people, successful individuals from various walks of life. They are less known heroes who believe in their dreams and have conviction to live their full potential. Idols, icons, innovators who care to live every moment on their own terms. Welcome to another edition of Success Mantra, and we have these wonderful people who are sharing their stories which can make so much of difference in our life and our learnings. For today's episode, we have somebody really interesting. Yes, he believes in keeping the world as pure as it is and adding to the sustainable living plan, right? His name is Das, and he's an engineer by profession, but truly he is a role model for us all because he's saving the world. Welcome, Das, to our episode today. And of course, it's a sheer pleasure to have you in person in this pandemic times. Thanks for making it, because you're a true inspiration in terms of working towards saving the earth. So tell us more about what are the things you're doing in terms of sustainable living.
So my philosophy of life is that in the time that I have on this earth, I'd like to ensure that I live in a way that I cause minimal damage to the earth. And so whatever little things that I can do, I do towards this philosophy. And so in terms of sustainable transport, in terms of sustainable construction, a house, for example, is completely it's sustainable construction. So that, and then all the little daily things that you do, wash your clothes, then iron your clothes, all the little things that you do, even in each of those things I ensure that I use minimal water, minimal detergent and so on.
Tell us, Das, last time when I had a discussion with you, you said that you used to cycle to work every single day from your place at Sadashiv Nagar, from there to Bangalore.
Yeah, it's actually Jayanagar.
Jayanagar,
I've been cycling, it's been about 20 years now since the cycle has been my main vehicle, in fact. Home to office is about 13 kilometers, so up and down it's 26 kilometers. So I've been cycling 20 years. Today I don't own a car. I sold my car about 10 years ago. So, and I think it's been, maybe once a year or once in 2 years I go to the office in a car.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's the cycle or bus or auto. A lot of very good. Bangalore got beautiful public transport. Yeah. So I use public transport, or it's mostly the.
But what about the pollution when you're cycling, and also the traffic? Because we got so inspired, and I said, okay, let's try this. And of course, my daughter has also been in that mode that why can't we cycle to your office or school or whatever. But somehow this traffic regimentation or other things are not as conducive for cyclists. So how do you handle that?
There are two problems. One is the pollution. So from about a decade now, I've been using quite a heavy-duty pollution mask.
Okay.
Much before this
COVID situation came into play.
So now everybody looks like a Martian. Everybody looks weird in their masks. But I've been looking weird from the past 10 years.
Right.
So I've been using an N95 mask for a decade. But it has valves and stuff. It's not like the COVID masks. Because you
can breathe well.
Yeah, because when you're cycling, you need
to breathe
4 or 5 times more oxygen than when you're walking or just sitting around. So I've been using that. And as far as the traffic and that, it's a chicken and egg situation. I can't wait forever and say no, the traffic, and therefore I will not cycle. So everybody says that, and then nobody cycles.
Nobody starts.
So which is first? So if there are enough people, like what's happened now over the COVID, over the past 6 months, is that lots of people have taken to the roads and they're cycling. So more cyclists come in, there's more demand for road space for cyclists. So now they made dedicated roads along the outer ring road, dedicated lanes for cycling, right? So that's what happens when more cyclists, take ownership of the road. You will get more. So Yeah, so the traffic really hasn't affected me. I stick to the extreme left and that's it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So probably, it's time to give it a try again and make it happen.
Everybody should.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell me, since we are in our middle age now, do you think health-wise it's a good thing as you progress in age, let's say, whatever, 50, 60 stuff? And
Totally. Because, yes, cycling is one, of course, the lower body, your legs and the leg muscles and so on, they are very, very strong.
Sure.
And your innards, the lungs, the heart. My heart rate, for example, because I've been cycling so much, is something like it's slightly above 60. So for people who are very, they do a lot of physical exercise, the heart rate drops because your heart is strengthening itself to handle that high level of physical exertion.
Right.
So instead of 72, I'm like 60, 62, 64.
Sure.
And there are, even there are extreme cyclists like the people who do the Tour de France, they are at 35, 40 heart rate.
Wow.
So
it really kind of has a great impact on your
Yes.
overall body when it comes to heart, the lungs,
Yes,
which is, builds your immunity as well. So
also it that reflects in how in your looks also, because people will typically look at you and say, "Oh man, you don't look your age. You look like 10 years younger or something like that."
Right. Wonderful. Yeah. So great motivation to start cycling maybe during this pandemic itself. So thus, it's great you are into sustainable living, and it's like we are already part of your tribe in terms of being inspired. It's fabulous. What is this product that you have come up with, and why were you inspired to build a software product? Because you're basically an engineer, and then you came into entrepreneurship. So two questions really: how you came into entrepreneurship, and what do you enjoy about it? And secondly, what is this product that you have created which can make a big difference, especially in the pandemic times?
I've been an entrepreneur for almost 30 years now.
Wow.
I'm a mechanical engineer and I started my life on shop floors, manufacturing shop floors. I was working in an earth mover company, for example, and in a textile machine manufacturing company and so on. And with a type of machines called CNC machines, computer numerical control. They're like industrial, you've seen industrial robots which do welding and painting and car bodies and so on. So these are close cousins of robots. They are computer controlled machines. So I had a certain, when I was working in a couple of companies, which is only for about 4 years. After I finished my engineering, I worked for about 4 years, and then I started this off. But I found this need for a particular product. I used to have a problem all the time with programming those. You have to program those machines, and then they'll make whatever you want them to. So then I said, if I have this problem, then a lot of other people, everybody who uses such machines will also have a problem. So I said, there's a gap, which there's a product that is required to fulfill that gap, and it has a market. So I got out and I started, and I and another guy started developing this thing. It took us about 2 years. And in 2 years, we were completely, all our savings were gone. We were basically on the footpath. We weren't earning anything because until the product is out, you don't earn anything.
Spending on
building. You're just spending on yourself. I mean, just living, right? And all that. So, and then basic computer and all that stuff you will buy. So, it took us a couple of years before we developed the product and then started making some money off it. And then after that, it's been a very nice, or was till maybe about 2008, till about 2008 it was a really good phase for us, really good growth. At one time India, it's very rare for product companies to be successful. Now about 3 years ago we started another product which has now become our flagship product, which is an area called Industry 4.0.
Okay.
So that is basically, you have machines in manufacturing. It could be manufacturing anything. It could be automobiles, aerospace parts, or it could be food, chocolates, biscuits, whatever it is. So all the manufacturing, traditionally what has been happening is you have a large, factory shop floor with, lots of machines, maybe 100, 200 machines. And nobody really knows what's happening on those machines.
Right.
All the data collection has been, people go to those machines and find out every shift, at the end of every shift, they note down how many parts were done, how much time was the machine running, how much time was it idle, why was it idle. And they'll note down all these things. Somebody will give them some wrong information or cooked up information, whatever. They'll note down all that, go and enter it next day in computers.
Oh.
And then it's available after another. So totally by the time an event occurs and it's available to top management, to decision makers, it's about 36 hours, by which time, you...
So how do you make it real time? Like how does the machine...
So Industry 4.0 is something where, so we have a little piece of hardware, which is our own hardware.
Okay.
So you plug it into the machine's electronics. And if the machine doesn't have electronics, it's an old kind of machine, then we put in sensors and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it communicates through the mobile phone network directly to the cloud.
So real time,
The moment something happens here, it's up there, and then so we display a lot of information to decision makers, right from the manager, the supervisor, manager, all the way up to the CEO level.
Sure.
Each of them needs to see different kinds of reports.
Right.
So we display all these reports about what's happening on the machine, how much is your return on investment, all that stuff.
So you have some early adopters for this technology?
So we have a lot of very good, very prominent manufacturing companies. And what has happened, since you asked, so COVID, especially for COVID, now this is a product that enables you to manage your factory from afar.
So Das, tell us that you have moved from working in a place to entrepreneurship, and now you're successfully launching your new product which is being accepted so well. What has been the journey like in terms of being an entrepreneur versus working for somebody else? And would you really kind of propose it to youngsters who want to dive into it? Because it's become like a fashion in today's world to become an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
As against when you started off, which was like a big risk in terms of getting into this. So how would you look at it, and what is your recommendation to youngsters?
Okay, to start with, so in my very first company that I joined after my engineering, I spent 2 years in the first company, and at the end of the 2 years, this company actually transferred me to a division where if I had stuck on, today I would be earning, literally, I'm not exaggerating, I would be earning 100 times what I'm earning today.
100 times?
Yes, 100 times. Somebody is that kind of a person who doesn't like routine, who wants to take decisions themselves, who likes the creativity that, being your own boss offers. Forget the money. Money in entrepreneurship, 95% of the time, is a lot of ups and downs. It's more downs than ups. And money, forget it. You don't know. don't think I'm going to have a Benz car and all. If that's what you're after, stick to some, company, multinational company, and that's it.
True. Like these transitions and trials and tribulations, entrepreneurship journey, in all this, what does success really mean to you?
To me personally, I don't measure. Income. Success means income, all right. But my definition of income is different from the normal definition of income.
Tell us more.
So income for me is the joy of working plus the money, right? Now, for a lot of people, it's only the money. Fine, I mean that's the way you think. But for me, it's more the joy. I just want to be, satisfied, happy person. What gives me happiness is creative satisfaction. It is, having a nice set of people that I work with every morning. All that. These are the things that give me joy. So joy for me would be like 75%. Income is 25%. My wants are not much. I mean, so that's why the way I live. I don't need a big fat. I don't even have a big fat car. I don't want one, right? And I don't define myself by the size of my car, size of my house, all that. So, my definition of myself is just, so what I really want to be doing is whatever income I get, a large part of it we actually give away in terms of helping other people and so on. So during the COVID period or even before that, so my life has been a lot of giving, and that gives me joy. So I don't like to. Money for me is just what I can do with it. It's not a measure of my worth at all. My self-esteem doesn't depend on how much my bank balance is. So that's what.
That's really interesting, Das. That actually brings me to a very interesting question, which, of course, I guess only you can answer. That in our society, like you mentioned, that for most people, it's the income which defines your success, right? It's the what money can buy for you, or whether it's the car or whatever it may be. And why do you think that maybe it's a 70-30 or a 80-20 kind of a ratio, where 20% people are like you and 80% people are kind of defining their success by measure of what is the professional success, what is my title, or what is my bank balance, and those kind of things. Why do you think this happens?
Yeah, like anything else, it's part nature and part nurture. And so if I'm born with a certain set of genes which I've acquired from my ancestors, who probably those genes make me want to define myself by my bank balance is one part of it, and then nurture also. So how do your parents bring you up? And what was their
What was their motivation?
Yeah, what's their definition of a good life? So that a lot of that comes into you. But of course I've seen. I know people who the father's got a Benz car and the son absolutely says nothing doing. I'm just taking. I mean, he's got his own job and stuff. We're taking a bus everywhere and so on. So it's not necessary that you acquire your parents' worldview.
Sure.
But
once you put it in the sun, it's as it is disinfected.
Even for COVID, they say the sunlight is again one very strong. So you put your masks, you wash them and put them out in the sun and so on. But so I've been doing this with clothes. So even though I cycle so much, so when I come back in the evening, my t-shirt is actually completely soaked in sweat. But even that, I will just wash in plain water and put it on. I use zero detergent, literally. So what happens is when you don't use detergent, the water consumption drops to maybe less than 1/20th of what it would be if you actually wash it in a washing machine or whatever. So water consumptions drop. 2, you're not putting any detergents into your water bodies.
Sure.
Putting them into so when you do something in your home, that water is actually going into the city's water supply and then going somewhere else.
Right.
And you need to recycle it, or it's just let out into, depending on where the city is. You might be letting it out into some river or the sea and so on.
Right.
You're destroying the complete ecosystem of that water body. Right. Even if you're not doing that, it can go into your groundwater.
Like you spoke that nature.
So fight as in not.
Yeah.
This is So I feel strongly. 86 years old. His name is Janardhan. He cycles about the same distance, some 50 kilometers every day. And he's just all over the city, and he runs marathons, he does all sorts of stuff. He started cycling at the age of 60, after he retired.
So I still have hope.
Yeah, so started at 60, he's 86 now.
Awesome. So you know what, that reminds me of my coach when I used to play badminton, long time back, Manoj Guho. And he was Thomas Cup champion and all that, and I was like one of his favorite students. He used to cycle almost like 20 kilometers up and down every day to come and coach us on badminton skills and all that. Those days when I was in school, like some 25 years back, and he was like what, some 70 plus.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, when I think of it, but somehow we didn't get the message that this is something that we need to practice, because our parents are protective and you know, like, oh, you should not go, things that you have been doing, and your life seems so flawless, spotless and beautiful, right? Have you ever come across any failure?
Yeah, it's there's failure all the time. Like I said, as an entrepreneur, the life is just, your business is up, down, and if you want to do any products in India, there is, you know, very little help or encouragement for innovation in India. True. And these are all products that we designed, we developed, we are selling, we are supporting, all that. It's very difficult to be an entrepreneur, particularly in these kind of things. So it's been mostly downs and not so many ups in terms of business. But what happens is that if you're doing multiple things like this, right? So there's always, so I'm not this one guy, I'm not this, you know, mechanical engineer, entrepreneur. I'm also this guy who's doing, you know, promoting sustainable transport, and this guy who's promoting sustainable construction, all this. So you're doing 4 things. So one thing is up, one thing is down. You get up in the morning, oh yeah, those guys, you know, okay, they called me to give them a talk today, and I got so many converts, so that's a success there. Maybe a failure here, we didn't get this order or something.
Right.
So that's one.
That's a nice way of looking at it, that, you know, like, in different dimensions are there. It's so fulfilling to, you know, kind of fill the gaps and always make you feel nice about it. However, you know, like, what is your mantra in terms of dealing with failures?
The failure, I've got this weird technique, which I call my little sour grapes technique. So something doesn't happen the way I want it to, I bring in that sour grapes thing and say, oh man, maybe if this had happened, you know, that bad thing, this would have had that bad effect, right? So you bring in that sour grapes thing. In some cases, maybe you can't, but 90% of the time it works for me. Okay, fine. So you would do that, and then you're happy that it didn't happen, that what you were wanting to didn't happen, and then you look beyond that. And so.
Right. So interestingly, we were talking about this in the morning, and one thing that came up is fail is basically you know, first attempt in learning, right? So it's the number of attempts, and from the time we are all born, we are attempting various things. So there are falls, and then we keep trying, and we get our hands around the learning and do well. Wonderful. So, thus, thank you so much for this wonderful sharing, and definitely our audience would gain a lot of insights and a lot of learnings out of this, and I hope that they switch to cycling soon and give up their fat big cars and say that, and the black t-shirt and stop using detergent, right? What is the message that you really want to convey the audience and leave them with?
That don't care about, don't live for society or for relatives.
Right.
You think something is right, go ahead and do it. That's it.
Awesome.
I think that's, we're just too bothered today about log kya kahenge, you know, in Hindi
Yeah,
we say
yeah,
log kya,
absolutely.
what other people think or say. Forget it. Just live. You just got one short life and live it the way, whatever you think is right, do it, and that's.
Right. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you once again. And that was Das, who shared an amazing experience in his life, in his profession, entrepreneurship, and sustainable living. I think the biggest takeaway that I have from this interaction is that we need to do something and take action in terms of sustainable living. Switch to cycling, stop using detergent, and really care about your children, because they are the ones you are leaving this world to. So for their sake, switch to sustainable living and make life king size, live the way you want to. Stop caring about the society or anybody says anything. You want to do something, go ahead and do it, says Das. Thank you.
Thank you.